Hello, welcome back to my channel. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. It's not the new year yet when I'm filming this, but by the time you watch it, it definitely will be the new year. So I hope you are all having a great 2020 so far and managed to get outside walking or doing whatever it is you like to do outdoors over the Christmas holidays. So I'm filming my first Q&A today. I asked on the YouTube community tab thing for questions, and I was going to put it on Instagram as well, but I got so many questions on there that I thought I'd just stick with that for now. So yeah, I've got loads of questions to answer. I might split this video into two parts if it gets too long. Sorry if I don't get to your question, but there are a few questions that I want to make full videos on, so they will be answered at some point. If I don't answer them in the video, then I'll answer them for you on the page. But yeah, so I may as well just get started. So the first question that I'm going to answer is from Dave, who is Upcoming Adventures. And he has asked, where did your outdoor interest originally come from / how did it come about? So I thought that would be a good place to start, give you a little bit of background on me. So I guess the first thing worth mentioning is my family. So I'm from a really outdoorsy family. My parents actually cycled around the world before they had children, after they got married and before they had children. This is actually my mum here, I'm not sure if you can see, but this is on their trip. She's got her panniers and stuff. So yeah, I was born into a family that was super outdoorsy. We lived just south of the Peak District when I was born. So my parents used to take me and my older sister out hiking loads. We went cycling, and yeah, essentially we all just grew up outdoors. We did lots of camping. Every holiday was a camping holiday. Did lots of walking as well, and even just like playing outdoors with my siblings. I didn't actually grow up in the UK. We lived abroad. We lived in the United Arab Emirates and Australia. So I grew up in two very warm countries where we were just outside all the time, and we didn't really watch TV or anything like that. I couldn't name one cartoon I watched when I was young. We were just outside. So yeah, that's partially where I got into the outdoors. And then as I got older, I got really into cycling, did a little bit more adventure cycling. So I went bike touring around New Zealand, and that was my first big solo outdoor adventure. So I cycled from the north to the south of New Zealand by myself, and camped along the way. I camped in campgrounds, I didn't wild camp. But yeah, that was my first big solo adventure. And when I got back, I got really into hiking and more camping in the UK. And then I've since then gotten into climbing as well. So it's kind of been a natural progression of outdoor sports, from cycling to camping to hiking, climbing. I've done a bit of mountaineering, keen to do more of that as well. So yeah, I just love being outside in any way I can. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into it. So the next question I'm going to answer is, where did you and Harvey meet? I can actually just see him outside. I keep seeing you and being like, this is really distracting. This is a great story. I love telling people this story. So a couple of years ago, I headed up to Scotland to hike the West Highland Way, which is a 100-mile trail that ends in Fort William. And when I finished that walk, so the day after I finished, I had a spare day in Fort William before I had a train back down to Glasgow, and I decided to head to Wetherspoons for breakfast because I really wanted a fry-up, and it's literally the only place open in Fort William for a fry-up on I can't remember what day it was, maybe a Sunday morning. And so yeah, I was just having breakfast in Wetherspoons in Fort William, and in walks Harvey, who was also by himself having breakfast in Fort William. And we got talking. He kind of sat opposite me, so he was right in my line of view, and I obviously had my big bag, so I probably looked interesting. You know, like I had an interesting story to tell. So yeah, we got talking and chatting for ages, had a couple of coffees, and then he asked me if I want to go on a walk. I said yes. He drove me an hour to Kinloch which is an absolutely beautiful area, and we went for a hike up on the hill and then had cheese and biscuits in the car, and yeah, it was really nice. And then we went for dinner back in Fort William, and that was kind of, yeah, our first date, which was a hike, which is, yeah, just so, yeah, such a nice story to tell, I think, to meet someone in that way. And this is from Gary Kirkham, and he said, my question is, when wild camping, do you prefer a sunrise or a sunset? Ooh, that's really tricky. My instinct is saying sunrise. I'm not sure why, but I just find it a very special time of day, because I think it's a time when everybody is normally still asleep, and especially if you're wild camping, you are really the only person around, and you've just spent a night in the hills, either alone or with someone, and it's quite special just waking up, especially if it's a beautiful sunrise, and just zipping open your tent canvas and looking outside. Okay, so next question is from Dan Parsons, and he said, hi, came across your channel a few weeks ago and have been enjoying your content since. I wondered, what advice would you offer a first-time hill walker / adventurer? We're a fairly active couple with a very active Labrador, but haven't done much in the way of hill walking together. So, first-time hill walker / adventurer. This was me a couple of years ago when I was just getting into hiking, and I obviously had the experiences of doing the solo bike tour and had done lots of solo cycling adventures before. But when I first got into hiking, I suppose the way I went about it really was just, and it might sound very generic, but just start small. So start off with a walk that you find online. Maybe it's one that I've done that I recommend. So you've got the map and the full walking description, and maybe start off with something less than 5 miles and head out with someone or by yourself, and yeah, just go and do a short, easy, probably lower level walk. And then as you get more and more confident, you start to understand more things like terrain, weather conditions, weather patterns. You start to understand when there might be bad weather coming in, and therefore you can make better decisions when out on the hill. I'm still very much learning. I'm definitely not an expert. I'm quite lucky that Harvey's a mountain leader, so when I go out with him, I 100% trust him as a great hill walking partner, but then I also do go out by myself a lot. And I think that just having your wits about you and being sensible and not taking risks is really important when you're first getting into hill walking, because remember that the hills are always there and you can always come back to them, and sometimes the best decision is to turn around. So yeah, I'd say starting small, starting with some shorter less than 5 mile walks, and then gradually building it up as you start to feel more confident. Next question is from The Wild Kerp, and I think I actually got a couple of questions that were quite similar, so hopefully I answered both. But they say, hi Athena, love your channel, always gets me excited to go out on adventure. I was wondering how you balance time and money with adventuring / work / personal life stuff. So I do have a job. I work 4 days a week, so I have a 3-day weekend, and that's totally a personal choice to not work 5 days a week. I fill that extra day with my personal projects, with filming videos, which is obviously fairly new for me, but before that I was focusing on my blog. I've done lots of I've done a bit of freelance writing, a bit of freelance photography, so normally I can find things to fill in that extra day, or if not, I just use the opportunity to get outside and go hiking or camping. I'm really lucky in that I work 2 days a week from home and 2 days in an office, which means that the days I work from home, I have a little bit more flexibility. So I can kind of work for them. I can get up really early, work from 7 until 1, and then go for an afternoon hike and then do another couple of hours when I get home. I definitely sacrifice time outdoors to see my family. With my family, we'll go outside and we'll go for a dog walk, or we'll be going somewhere really beautiful, but I don't always get to do the big exciting hike that I want to do. Something that I really believe in is I would never sacrifice time spent with those that I love for selfish endeavours in the outdoors, I suppose. I'll always go and see my mum and my sisters if they want to see me, rather than going on a big hike. Sometimes I really want to go on a big hike, but yeah, I'll always go and see them before that. Obviously my boyfriend Harvey is really into the outdoors, so whenever I'm with him we're always doing something like climbing or hiking or camping, so that's great. Having a partner who shares your hobbies and passions is definitely a bonus. And money wise, as I say, I've got a job. I work 4 days a week and I make a little bit of money doing the odd piece of writing or gear review or social media collaboration, but yeah, I don't do loads of that. Maybe it's something I'll start doing a bit more of in 2020, but yeah, I do. Most of the majority of my income comes from my job, so yeah. So this is from Chloe Fouché, and she asked, first of all, she asked me a question about being a solo female in the outdoors, and I want to do a whole video dedicated to that, so I'm not going to answer it, but I promise that I will. I'm going to do a whole video about my experiences of doing solo adventures outdoors, and how it feels and if I've gotten into any difficult situations. So that is coming. But she also asks, where does your motivation come from when, for example, going for an early morning surf on the weekend when it's freezing? Good question. Sometimes I find it really hard to motivate myself to get up and go outside and go for a freezing cold surf, but it has never not been worth it. It's always worth it. I've never had a bad experience when I've woken up really early to go and do something. So I think that's what keeps me doing it. And I suppose as well, when you work during the week, you do really come to value the weekends more, and so I will sacrifice a lie-in on a Saturday morning because for the whole week I haven't been able to get up super early and go and see the sunrise. So I will definitely, yeah, it's always worth it, I suppose. Saying that, sometimes I do find it really hard and I think it's also important to listen to your body. For example, this morning, Harvey and I set our alarms for 7 a.m. I wanted to get up, and actually we weren't going outdoors, but we both wanted to get up and be productive, but we were just so tired. And I think that is an example of, we stayed in bed an extra hour or so, and I didn't feel guilty about it because I felt like my body needed that sleep. I'm going back to work tomorrow and I don't want to start a new working week being really tired. So I think, yeah, it's kind of getting the balance of making time to be outside and to have those moments that are really special in the outdoors, but also listening to your body. And if your body is tired, then I will sacrifice a sunrise for having a lie-in now and again, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think there's very much a culture online of go, like go and just, you have to go and do everything all at once and you only live once and blah blah blah. But I'm not a massive fan of that, to be honest, because I I just think it's really important, as I said, to listen to your body and to understand what your body needs. And sometimes your body just needs to spend a day at home drinking tea, watching films, watching YouTube, just resting. And yeah, and then maybe the next day you're feeling super psyched to go outside and go for a big hike or climb. Yeah, I'm definitely not out every single day of the weekend, not every single day of the weekend even. I get really excited to go out in the outdoors, but I also love the days where I can just be really nice and cozy inside and read books and watch films. And yeah, so just listening to your body, I think. And yeah, I suppose remembering that it's always worth getting up for the sunrise, but there's always more sunrises as well. So hope that makes sense.